Hi guys, my name is P-ELI. I used to go by Martin Ward. I actually go by Lucian Ward now because Martin used to. It actually means apparently Martin stands for the Roman god of war, and I'm not a god of war. I'm a human, a male, and so I go by Lucian Ward now. The name Lucian means light bringer, just so you guys know. And or Luke Ward, Lucian Ward, Luke Ward, and that is my name now. So that being said, I'm here to talk to you guys about weed because and this is my testimony on what happens with me when that happens in my life, because it took a lot of years out of my life, and I'm in a homeless shelter right now, and I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. But I mean, and God has been leading me to talk about this, especially as a Christian, and even though I've been terrified to talk about it, because to be honest, I'm still addicted to weed, and I still kind of want to smoke, but there's no opportunities for me to smoke around here, and it's really gotten to the point where, weed might have actually taken my life, and I could have actually died, because I have a purpose on this earth, and God knows I have a purpose, and He's been seeing me smoke weed, cigarette after cigarette, and eventually got into real cigarettes and nicotine, and that wasn't good for me. So I'm here to talk to you guys about it, because my testimony, my story can save someone's life. And to be honest, I'm sorry that I didn't talk about it sooner, because it's a terrifying, it's a harrowing, dark story, and it's haunted me for the rest of my days, because I've been neglected by my parents and my family, and if anything, I've been conditioned into feeling like I'd get in trouble by them or get beaten up or something by saying it, because it's a dark secret of theirs. But I have to say it, and even my mom knows that I have to say it now, and she's passed away since. Rest in peace, live in paradise, Mom. But if anything, me saying this story is saving her, and it's saving you guys as well. So let me tell you about my experience with weed and cannabis and everything associated with it. And let me just spill it out. It's going to be completely unedited, because there's a lot, and it's a long story, and to be honest, it really fucked up my life, guys. It really messed it up, and it really messed up my life, man. And so, I started smoking weed when I believe I was like 17. I was 17 when I first smoked weed, and it was because around the time my mom, her health was really bad, and she was going in and out the hospital, and so I had and my brothers, they weren't around me ever really, and they really weren't around me all the time, and we were fighting all the time. There was fighting everywhere in my house. My mom and dad were fighting all the time, and a whole lot of shit was happening. It was going, we were going through the motions, and at some point I'd given in. I gave up, and there was one specific moment where I just felt like, I couldn't take it anymore. And to be honest, that was the devil, man. It was Satan, because I ended up being addicted for 5 years, and it wasted 5 years of my life, because I wanted to find solace, I wanted to find comfort in something, and my mom wasn't there, and she was in and out the hospital, basically on the brink of death, I remember just hearing the alarm bells of the hospital, and the bing, 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 when her heart was about to stop, and to be honest, that was probably Satan as well, and the devil just trying to torment me, because he knew when my mom died, it was going to be like the end of the world for me. So he kept taunting me with the hospital alarms and making her heart nearly stop. And so she would go into, I think it's bradycardia or tachycardia, and her heartbeat would slow down to 30, 40 beats per minute, 20 beats per minute. and that terrified me, and I had to sit there and witness that. So at some point, I looked for comfort, and I I found solace not in God, not in prayer, not in Jesus, but for a while I found it in weed. And it started with just a couple of edibles that my mom had, and she bought him probably thinking that she bought him probably thinking that it was gonna give her peace or solace or something. But to be honest, it probably made her addicted as well. And so I ended up finding these gummies, these edible gummies. They're CBD and THC, and they came from a Zen leaf. And I popped one in my mouth, man, and mind you, I was terrified because I didn't know what it was going to do to me. And to be honest, that was probably my first warning sign. That should have been the alarm that should have told me to stop and not do it. And for the record, I'm here to tell you guys, please don't go the same route as me. Please don't, if you're feeling that way, pray to God, man. Please talk to God, because I prayed to God when my mom was about to die, and he answered my prayers. He gave her an extra 3 years of life, man. So prayer is real. It really works. And I promise you, if you pray to God enough times, he will hear you. But I made the mistake of not praying. I chose not to pray, and things got worse because we're in a dark world. And when you stay away from God, it's like you're walking into a dark forest, man. The world is Pandora's box. And I opened Pandora's box, and it gave me a drug addiction, and I didn't pray to God about it, and I didn't pray to God to help deliver my mom, or to give me solace, or to give me peace, or to help me. I went and I turned to some weed gummies, because I thought drugs was gonna help me, and it didn't. It just got me addicted for 5 years, on top of my mom being in the hospital. And when my mom died, it cemented it. So I kept smoking, and I kept doing that and everything, and I kept taking weed, and I got addicted because I just wanted to find solace. And to be honest, it was the worst solace that they could have ever given me, man, because I started chain smoking. But I digress. I'll get to that part. But so I took an edible, and I took an edible that day, and guess what? Lo and behold, my mom actually came home that day that I took that edible, which means that was all Satan, because it wasn't even gonna last that long. My mom got back home. She got discharged that very same day that I took that edible. So it was just like a door being opened for me to smoke weed. And guess what? Satan will use our suffering and our shortcomings to get us further away from God like that. And he'll use it to open doors like that. And that's how he opened the door to me smoking weed, because I wanted solace from my mom being in and out the hospital. And he went and said, hey, that's an opening. And so he went and used it against my free will. I had free will, but he used it against my circumstances. He used my bad circumstances and my horrible emotions and my depression to get me addicted to weed, and even further depressed, because now I have to question whether I'm right with God or not. And to be honest, God had a lot of mercy on my soul and grace upon my soul, and I thank you, Father God, for all of that, because I'm glad to be alive right now, man. And there are plenty of times where he even warned me, dude, if you keep smoking, you might die. Actually, you're probably gonna die. And I had to actually force myself to stop. And you guys don't want to be in a world where you see thumbnails talking about your death on YouTube by accident, quote unquote, because God's actually asked to warn me through YouTube about my death. It's not a good route to go down, man. And I'm telling you now because you guys need to know this. I thought my mom was gonna die that day or something, so I went and took an edible. And lo and behold, my mom just came back, and she just went back in her bedroom. And to further the story, so I ate an edible, I got high, I really enjoyed the feeling, but not in the good way. It was in a sinful way, because I didn't realize it was distancing me from God. I didn't want to talk to God at that point. I just wanted to sit down and sit back and be high and be numb to the world and forget that the world existed. because that felt nice for a little bit, until it gave me all these health problems, like fucking, I don't even know what my kidneys look like right now, nor do I know what my liver looks like, nor do I know what my lungs look like, nor do I know what my stomach looks like. And to be honest, there's a huge ache in my stomach right now because my digestive system slowed from taking too much weed. So now my food isn't digesting properly in my stomach because I was depressed and wanted to take an edible, and I chose that over God. And so it began. So I had to be, so I started this battle where I had to choose between God and weed because I let it in to my life. And to be honest, the same goes for vapes too, man. Because once I started taking edibles, I started smoking. And then once I started smoking, I started taking dab pens. Once I started taking dab pens, I started taking vapes. Once I started taking vapes, I went into cigarettes. I didn't want none of that, man. I was a Jesus boy before all this, man. I didn't want to take none of that, until I started taking weed, and I was like, oh, this might be good. But it wasn't good for me, guys, and I promise you it will not be good for you guys if you take weed. I'm here to warn you guys, because I know it's depressing out there. I know we're all depressed. I know we're dealing with things, but I promise you, man, God will take us out of our depressions, guys. Romans 8:18 says the pain you've been feeling cannot compare to the joy that is coming. Man, Romans 8:18. I have joy ahead of me in store for me, but I have to make sure that I believe it. And now I have to deal with, trusting God that I don't need weed. And that's the worst dilemma in my entire life. Because I could literally die if I just keep on turning from God. If you turn from God, it's turning into the dark world, into the forest of this earth. And God knows what can happen there, man. They're sending all kinds of demons and attractive women around me and more drugs around me and getting all these things to happen. It's all just to drag me down into hell, man, or into purgatory or wherever I go that's not heaven, because God doesn't want me smoking weed. He wants me to rely on God, man, and I can rely on God because He made us, so it's like we need to have strength, and we need to believe that God does love us, and Jesus Christ loves us because He does love you guys. He loves me, but I can't keep smoking weed, and I have to accept that. And maybe it's a gray area legally. Like, I'm pretty sure spiritually it's a gray area, but it doesn't mean it's good, Like, Paul says I think it's in Corinthians, I don't know which verse, you can look it up, what I say, but he says that all things are lawful. Either Corinthians or Romans. He says all things are lawful, but not all things are good for us. It might be lawful, it might be allowed, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good for our bodies, or for our soul, or for our spirit, And weed was the last thing I needed in that moment, man. I needed a hug, man. I needed love. I needed to be held by somebody and told that I was going to be okay, man. And my mom couldn't do that because Satan took her away to the hospital and attacked her. So then I was vulnerable, and then I wanted to take edibles. And that's what happened to me. I took an edible, and then my mom came back, and then all hell broke loose. Everything went downhill from there, man. It's freaking ensued from there. And, and what was even worse was that my mom was already taking those edibles. She bought those edibles, so she was fine with it. And so is my dad, because guess what? He's black. He smoked plenty of weed in his lifetime. And so it became a normalized thing, but in reality, it's a generational curse. It's a cycle that broke, and they tried to pull me into the cycle so that I would die from cancer or something. And that was their plan, to kill me. Literally to kill me, because Satan and the demons, they all know that if I succeed in my calling and do what I'm supposed to do, which is bring people closer to God and Jesus, because He loves you guys, if I did that, the world would be a better place. And so they attacked me with weed, drugs, and eventually alcohol. I wasn't an alcoholic, but I've definitely drank, and alcohol isn't even a bad thing in the Bible. Wine is allowed. God even says in the Bible, drink wine with a merry heart. Wine gladdens the heart. Only in moderation. Moderation is key, but it's allowed. But you see, if you guys thought that alcohol was forbidden by the Bible, that's Satan twisting these things. Like, if anything, wine is your safest bet. man, if you guys need anything, take a little wine legally. If you're over 21, don't get it illegally. But like if you're over 21, drink a little wine. And if you're not over 21 or if you're not legal yet, then wait till you're legal, and it'll help you a lot in the long run, guys. That's coming from me, the guy who got addicted for 5 years because he didn't know what he was doing. And so yeah, man. But I digress. Like once I took that edible, man, I was high, and I was alone in my room or in the living room, and no one was there. Everyone was at work, so it was just me in the dark, and with pretty lights around me because I had the LEDs, those color changing LEDs and stuff, which is probably also Satan, so I could just stay stagnant and look at some pretty lights while I was high. But like that's way worse than actually fulfilling your purpose in life. I didn't, I feel like I set myself back because, like I was too busy being high and looking at lights all day and looking at pretty places where I could have actually worked to get there, and weed really did ruin my life, man. And even when I had it, like I felt like a zombie for a little bit, and I liked feeling like a zombie because it made me not feel, which is horrible because God gave me emotions to feel them, He gave us emotions to feel. And when we suppress them and numb them, like that's what Satan wants, so that we get into fights and shit. And that's why weed causes fights, because it numbs your emotions. And once you get off of weed, you want more weed to numb your emotions more. And if you can't numb your emotions, then you get angry, and that's how fights start. Because I can't numb my emotions, and then you start fighting about it. And it's like I've literally gotten into fights with my brothers, and I've gotten into fights with my little brother, with my dad, even. And with my mom over weed, man. Like me and my bro, fucking, that nigga tackled me once because we were mad over weed. And then like we were trying to hoard this shit for each other, and he's, I really hope he's off weed now too, because if so, thank God, man, because we were fighting over this shit. And it's like he really tackled me, and I tackled him back, and we started fighting over weed. And in front of our mom, and our mom had to deal with that shit because we were in weed, man. And it really sucked, man. It really sucked that we have that memory of nearly trampling our mom because we wanted weed, and it was horrible, man. Weed is like one of the worst traps known to man right now. And it trapped me. I got trapped, I went and took the edible. I went and felt good about it. I felt really good about that edible, man. It made me feel nice, but it wasn't a good kind of nice. It was a numb kind of nice. It was a I don't want to live my life anymore kind of nice, man. And that's not a good thing, It's like it's feeding our depression, if anything, man, because it's feeding our stagnation, and it's feeding us from not doing shit with our lives. And it's keeping us from the things that were really in store for our lives, man. Like, imagine how much you could have done instead of smoking weed. Imagine how much I could have done instead of smoking weed, man. I could have gotten entire projects finished. I could have made billions of dollars, probably, if I just got off my ass. And, just not taking the weed and, did something with my life, But I didn't. I took that edible, and then my mom came home, and you know what? I went upstairs to go and greet her, and to pretend like everything was normal. And then my mom saw straight through it. She was like, "Are you high?" She looked like that. She like, "Are you high?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm high, Mom." And then I feel like this was a mistake on her, and she's forgiven by God, and she's in heaven now. Things went well for her. It didn't always go well for her, but she's in heaven now. But, she accepted it. And I feel like that was a mistake. She was like, "Oh, you're high. I guess it was only a matter of time." And so hell broke loose. They let me get high. And they were fine with it because I was depressed. And that's not the answer. I can't let my kids get high because they're depressed. I have to help them and be there for them. And to be honest, my family wasn't there for me as they should have been. And it hurts, but it's the truth. And God wants me to speak the truth in my testimony, because this is my testimony. I'm sober right now. It's been like a whole week sober, I think, about it, but I can't remember because weed took my short-term memory loss, and I have short-term memory loss now. And to be honest, long-term memory loss. So it's hard for me to tell, but it did mess with my memory a lot, and it's not, it's hard for, I get off topic a lot, and I get distracted a lot. And you probably can see it now, this is a masterclass on what weed does to you, man, because before this, I was coding and making video games and doing things in my life and making concept art and interested in life. I woke up wanting to do things in my life, and now I can't, and now I don't have dreams, except for when God warns me with dreams that are forced into my mind. But otherwise I don't dream anymore. That weed took away my dreams, and like I said, man, my parents accepted it. So
you can go up on the second floor and shut the door, and you can be in there for 4 hours.
Okay.
As long as you want, okay?
Thank you.
So you don't disturb other people. How many people hear your business?
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I needed to say this. Sorry. And guess what? Satan doesn't want me to say this, which is why he's going to try to get people to get me to pause this video. But I literally can't, or else I might die tomorrow. So fuck, man, I'm not gonna stop right now. I'm sorry, people, if I'm background noise to some people, but to be honest, the world should have a little more empathy, man, because I could have fucking died, and I can die tomorrow if I don't say this. And seriously, man, Satan is ruthless, man. He does not care about your feelings. He doesn't care about who you are or who you could be. If anything, he cares more about who you could be, and he wants to destroy it, which is why he gave me weed, and so I got distracted. I stopped live streaming altogether because I was too shy to. I stopped making my video game. I stopped communicating to my entire game development team because I was shy and insecure and paranoid about the game failing, and the game did fail because I didn't delegate it, and I got addicted, man. All that happened because my mom was going out the hospital, and I wanted some edibles, man. And that literally ruined my entire fucking life, man. Entirely. I could have dropped Lamp Chasers. We could have made that game in 2020. But in 2020, I started smoking weed. And it ruined me for 5 years, man. And now, I literally have to say this, because if I don't, then I'm not fulfilling God's purpose, and I could die for that. And it's I don't want you guys to die either, man. So please stay away from weed if you, just stay away from it, because that's my warning. I charge you guys, please stay away from it, because it's dangerous. More dangerous than we think it is. And it's only a recent thing. They only recently made it legal. But that's probably a problem. And because even though they have the little signs there saying, don't sell it to minors and stuff, I still got it. I still got weed, man, and a hold of it, because guess what? It's legal now. And people sell it anyways, man. So it's not like a sign is gonna stop people from selling it. Just like the prohibition didn't stop people from buying alcohol. It's but it's real, and guess what? Satan targets the wise people. So if you have any wisdom, Satan's gonna target you, and he's gonna try to take it away from you, which is why I lack short-term memory right now. I literally can't remember what I just said 23 minutes ago. I can't recall it. And guess what? I don't remember what I dreamed this morning. And I also don't remember what happened yesterday. I remember a little bit of what happened yesterday, but not enough. And I don't know how much of that will come back. So, weed fucked up my life, man. And my DNA was compromised because I wanted some solace from my mom going in and out of the hospital. And I implore you guys, please don't go down the same route, because I really miss having my short-term memory. Being able to remember things normally, because I can't. And sometimes God tells me some really important things and I forget, which is why I had to do this immediately, because I could die tomorrow if I don't do what's right. And that's all Satan. He wants you guys to get high so that the same shit happens to you. And I have to say something about that and say that it's not going to happen. Because please listen to me. Because it fucked up my whole life, man. And every time I tried to stop, somebody came in. I tried to throw away a dab pen once, man, and I ended up buying 2 of them. Because they tried harder to get me hooked on weed again. It's a death trap. It's a literal death trap, guys. And I don't know how my lungs look right now. And I don't know what my stomach looks like. Nor my liver, nor my kidneys, nor my intestines even. And to be honest, there's a huge knot in my chest that I literally can't get rid of. Because and I don't know what it is. But there's a knot there. And it only came when I started smoking weed. And I don't know how to get rid of it. And to be honest, the doctors didn't feel it either. Which is probably also Satan. But it's an attack, guys. Weed is an attack on your entire life, man. And you can believe me. I implore you guys to believe me, please, because it ruined me. And